Our game is going to continue by taking a look backwards from where we previously left off. We are once again seeing our Dark Elysian, the man unnamed, but the bard that was at the bar that our players had previously encountered. He was recalling a story, if you remember, and as he's playing through this little melody and playing through these memories in his head of these events that had transpired, he's recalling of these four individuals that come from many different backgrounds, of different statures, different upbringings, different abilities, and a band of misfits in its own that have come together to fight a common cause. Though there was some confrontations early at the bar and some potential fights to be picked, when a Makote came in to the bar, concerned about his daughter that had been taken. The band of four heroes had decided to put their differences aside. They managed to find their way out to where two ogres were picking on a little girl, had her cornered, and without much hesitation at all, they charged in, took initiative, and were able to fell the two giant beasts. And as he's kind of recalling the story, the bard is talking out loud and kind of painting with colors of his words, if you will. And another bard walks into the bar, and this individual is another here, common to the area. However, he looks a little different in his attire. He's got a lot of kind of mute colors, but he wears these goggles in front of his eyes, and he's got like a really short blonde hair. And he comes up to our Elysian friend, and he asks where he's heard this tale. And our Elysian responds and says, it's a memory, something that I have witnessed, and yet I can't recall. I've been trying to play this song and trying to, replay this memory in my mind to remember those that I had met. And our new bard friend sits down. He says, very interesting. I'm a man of many tales myself, a wanderer, if you will. And he says, do you play? He says, yeah, I'm a minstrel of sorts. I know my many songs, and I'm always curious to learn of a new tale. Two bards kind of share a moment and talking about various songs that they've played in the past, and our wandering friend here, he says, but please, continue. He takes a seat next to our Elysian bard as our bard rejoins the story and starts to pick up from where he left off. As he plays on his harp, the scene starts to come back into his mind, and we begin to once again see our adventurers.
Hello.
Hello, adventurers. You have just fallen the two ogres, and in our last moments here, we had a bunch of people on fire. We had we had our friend Atlas here, the bunny boy, literally intimidated an ogre to death. The other one had been stabbed multiple times by a number of people until it was eventually fell. And after a bunch of fire was put out on some people, we had Aubrey reconsume his void avatar into his body. But everyone seems to be, relatively speaking, pretty healthy. As we have now exited combat, I'm going to be just taking off the buffs. I believe you guys all had some sort of blessing on you, but those would be expiring as in D&D's fashion, combat, every turn is, I think it's roughly like 6 seconds or so. So you obviously, as we exit combat here, it's like time was kind of slowed as all this stuff happened, simultaneously. But not really a lot of time has passed in your fight with the ogres. It was, pretty said and done within the minute. And our Makote friend here comes running in. And he, if you remember, was out of breath when you first met him. He started to hide behind the rock over there while you took care of the beasts. But as you are now looking back, you can see him once again running. He's, had time to catch his breath, but as he runs over, he's out of breath again, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you guys beat him! That was so cool!" He's kind of a nerd. Where is she? You guys, if you recall as well, the little girl that's, hidden, didn't do so well at hiding. She thinks she's hiding right now. However, it's up to you guys to determine how you want to go and find her.
Marco. Marco.
All of them are dead, Marco.
I gotta think too.
That's scary.
Keeping in mind, we just had a bunny boy straight intimidate an ogre to death, so you guys are still scary to her.
Marco. Oh wait, what's her name?
Oh,
no, it's actually Marco.
My
I
daughter's
remember.
her name is Chloe.
Chloe. Oh.
Oh, Slowy.
Wait, is this her dad or brother?
This is her father.
Her father? Chloe, your dad has some snacks for you.
Yeah.
You see Chloe start to peek out from behind the rock, but she's still trying. She's still trying to hide behind it.
You gotta be more. Do we actually have any snacks?
Who has some snacks? Where's my inventory?
You're bluffed and pay off quite as much.
Just so we're clear,
hard-boiled eggs.
Just so we're clear, she is a little girl. Just because she's a cat doesn't mean she's an animal.
I say, hey Chloe, check this out, and I make water shoot in my hands using prestidigitation.
All right, so we see our Makote friend Miko shoot out a little water from her hands, and Chloe starts to kind of let her guard down. She's still kind of hiding behind this rock. She thinks she's fully hidden, but you can very clearly see her because she had really bad hiding rolls or sneaking rolls. But she seems to be a little bit more friendly. You can see, I guess, Miko, why don't you roll me a perception check?
All right, let's see here.
If you go to your character and hit perception. Yeah, so you catch, as she's watching your fountain coming out of your hand, she smiles and then kind of looks over to the bunny boy of intimidation and the reaper that just consumed a void avatar, and she kind of hides her head again.
All right. I use prestidigitation again to clean them off so they look a little bit better.
And I'm covered in blood.
Are you splashing water?
I tell Miko that why doesn't he introduce her to Eos? Everyone loves Eos.
Oh yeah. Come meet Eos. She's very friendly. And then Eos
just comes over to her.
Just flutters. She can't talk. She just flutters around. She uses phase shield on Chloe. I'm sure that feels good.
Okay. So we have a shield that goes around Chloe, who thinks she's fully hidden, but then immediately gets the shield on her. I'm just gonna roll kind of a straight check on my own, to see how much she liked that. She's not immediately alarmed by the shield, but she's still not exactly coming out yet. She's not sure what's going on.
See, now she's shielded from damage. She feels safer.
All right.
Chloe,
I don't know why we're bothering to do this when her father is right there? Why don't we just?
Yeah, why don't we just ask
Wait.
his father?
I'll just
Is
stand
she
to the
over
side.
there?
Why don't you guys
Follow
just
through.
seem less intimidating? I mean, you
Is-
tried that?
Is that Chloe over there?
Shut
This
up, old
dude-
man. We're gonna get her out
This
ourselves.
this dude really wanted to know where Chloe was, and now you're just putting shields on his daughter. he doesn't know where Chloe is because I didn't see her jump over there, but
He's blind.
with the big
Yes,
shield over
that
there.
is
Your daughter is
her.
hiding. Your
Yeah,
daughter is
sure.
hiding behind the. What is she hiding behind?
He
Some rocks.
I'm doing rolls, by the way, not through the game, but like with personal dice. This guy, even with the shield, does not see Chloe. He is so blind to this. He's like, where is she? You might have to point her out, but just don't.
I'd point her out, add my passive perception of 12 to his roll.
Oh, I see it, Chloe. And he kind of runs over there and grabs Chloe real quick, who doesn't resist, and she kind of starts to step out now. These people saved you. She doesn't say anything back, but she kind of smiles and looks at Miko, who, shared a little bit of a water trick and had the fairy come over and say hi. She looks over to the two intimidating people on the side as well, and doesn't look at them anymore with like a frown, but kind of starts to understand from her father that these are people that helped her, and that these are friends.
They're friends. Not
Thank you.
She has more trust for you guys than I do.
Thank you so much. How can I repay you?
Yes, we request all of your finest yellow gathering scripts.
I have Gil, if that would suffice.
We
kinda-
don't need your money.
He looks around in his pouch
Don't?
and he comes by and says, maybe we should talk at the top of the hill. He starts to
Sure.
kind of start to walk away. He looking around, he sees that Chloe's very clearly not okay with being in this area anymore. She wants to be closer to the home base. So they're gonna start to move their way up to the north.
I move along with them.
And turned her over a bit.
Oh, you tripped a little bit, but she's okay.
Chloe tripped over a bit.
It's
Tisk,
a good
tisk,
thing she had a
tisk.
shield. Good thing she had a
I
shield.
use cover. Protect the girl.
Chloe stumbles but catches her feet. No damage. Makote, after moving again, is once again out of breath. I don't know why this guy's always out of breath, but
Poor dude, do you have like a lung problem?
He has asthma, okay? Leave him alone.
I can carry you, but
I've spent so much money with the doctor recently.
I used my
But
medicine
I
check
don't
to
have-
see what he needs.
Okay, so
what
you roll,
does this guy have?
you roll a 19 with medicine. You can see that this guy has some sort of like a severe asthma thing where he, after moving any distance, he becomes very out of breath. And he,
Oh, no.
there's nothing he can do though. You realize there's nothing that you can like prescribe necessarily.
Ooh,
He's
feels
like,
rough.
I've been spending so much money lately on my health. I don't have much to repay you, but
You
here's
should just rescue him across the field,
here's
Baka.
what I
Don't
have.
have rescue.
Also, we're not in combat.
Here's what I have though. And he reaches into his a coin pouch that he's been carrying, and he pulls out a little bit of a like a smaller sack. He says, "I have in here 3 gil for each of you. That should be 12 in total." He holds the sack out to Miko, who's the closest to him. As this happens, our bard that you previously had seen hanging out in the bar comes by, and he, as our Makote friend here reaches out with the sack, He grabs the sack before you can reach it. He says, "Well, now that your debt's paid, I guess we're even."
A debt.
Who is this person?
This is
He's the bard
this is
from
the
the
bard
bar.
from the bar.
I don't remember any debts I owed anybody.
Well, you see, it's one thing to be a hero. It's another to leave a bar after not paying for your drinks. Don't worry, though. I took care of it.
1 second. Let me.
If you previously remember, you guys all ordered drinks at the bar, and then the second trouble arose, you immediately left the bar.
That's
and
what heroes
went to
do.
help.
You know what? I'm gonna try to intimidate him to get at least my share of the gil. Let me intimidate him.
Sure.
It's only 12 gil.
Where the fuck
your share of the gil is 3. And I will
Oh, there
say,
it is.
in this era of time, and just for simplicity's sake, in this game, gil goes quite a long way. We'll be playing a lot in like smaller numbers than maybe what
really?
you've seen in
Wait,
Final Fantasy
so
XIV.
hyperinflation hasn't hit yet?
We have not. This is before the market board was invented.
Damn.
Money
Alright.
used to mean something.
So
Intimidate.
jeez, you got 25 intimidation.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
And he also
So-
fucking shit his pants.
So what are you saying to our bard here?
Okay, fuck. I didn't think this far through.
You say, can I have some woo?
That's how you intimidate him.
That's how I intimidate people. I look scary, and then I just immediately begin to act cutesy.
Now, just remember, you are in front of Chloe and her father. And Chloe sees this
Do we have
happening
any
and is
money?
taking a step back.
I don't know. Looking at my inventory, I don't think we.
None of you
At least for my
right now
character.
have any gil.
I stopped this whole conversation. You know, I say we should just let him go, and you guys should trust me. And I give everybody a little wink. Wink, wink.
We
know?
have
Wait,
Atlas,
was he the one that intimidated a man to death?
Atlas is the one who
Me?
intimidated a man to death. Atlas has already
Okay.
committed to intimidating our bard here.
Okay, the bard might die as a result of this intimidation. We should all be aware of what's about to happen.
So Atlas, you have yet to say what you were going to.
Alright, you know what?
This
How
is-
about we give some of this man's gil back, because he's going to need it in the future.
Oh, so you're intimidating
just
to give
taking
it
it all.
back to the guy.
Yeah.
To the original owner. Are you intending for the entire
At least half. At
Gil?
least half.
at least half of it? As you say that to our bard here, he looks at you, kind of sizes you up. You're not. You're taller in the fact that you're very intimidating, but realistically, you're much shorter than this guy. A bunny boy is, as we found out, to be of a shorter variety, but you make up for that in just this presence that you carry with you. He kind of smiles and to himself, and he says, "Wouldn't have expected that from you." He tosses the whole gold sack back over to our other Makote friend here, and says, "Well done. Care to join me back at the bar?"
I say, do you two know each other?
Are you speaking of the bard and our
I guess
Makote friend?
Yeah, I'm just kind of speaking it I'm not directing it at either of them. Just kind of like, you guys know each other?
The guy who's out of breath, our original Makote here, he says, "I don't think I've met any of you."
Oh, sorry. Oh, that was more directed towards.
Towards
Where's
Atlas.
Bart and I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely know each other. Just now, we just met each other. Some good close friends.
The bard kind of smiles. He says,
Someone you've
"Is
never
it
met
right,
seems
Mr.
to
Bard?"
have strange expectations of you. I don't know if
What
I
can I
trust
say?
you, Bard. Bards are a little better than professional liars, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, how do we know you actually paid for the drinks and we won't find another bill when we get back?
Only one way to find out. I have a
To
few
never
connections.
return.
I have a few connections in this town, and if you're willing to join me back at the pit, I'd like to introduce you to someone.
I like to roll insight to see if there's anything suspicious about this
You
guy.
roll a natural 20 on this.
Oh, yeah.
So you're running an insight check. From what you can tell, this bard. So some of the backstory, right, that you've seen. He was originally playing in the pit when you all arrived. So you know that he's been in this town longer than you have. You also know that bards typically don't, at least in this time frame, they don't typically settle down in one area. They like to roam around. You can tell by his attire that he's not from this area. He has a little bit of a better dress to him. He's got the black blazer kind of with a white collar to it. He's very well kept. Where Mordona more attracts adventurers and mercenaries and people that are maybe starting to pass through and maybe start a new life, that kind of stuff. And you can tell just in the way you get a feeling that in the way that he was kind of chuckling and bantering with Atlas, that the bard is testing you guys right now to see if you're worthy enough for what he has planned.
Let's see.
I have to prove myself to you.
This is what Miko has determined.
So I guess I asked him, how long have you been in this town?
I'd be willing to share that with you, but why don't we head back to the pit?
Alright. Well, I don't think it's going to be an ambush there, guys. I think we might be fine.
I don't know. I'm more worried about Brioche here bringing a demon into town.
I think Chloe and I should leave now. Thanks for the money back.
Get out of here. Things might get violent.
Ziggy, you're so
Ziggy, you do have to
to
announce what you're doing before you do it. Otherwise, I'm not counting any of the rolls you do.
Okay, but
Which is good because you rolled natural ones on
to pick
both.
his pockets.
You have to announce it and then you roll for it. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Just so you know.
Okay.
You're getting your bad rolls out of the way.
As everybody is distracted, including the announcer of the story, the game master, I attempt to steal this man's. I attempt to rummage this man's pockets.
Currently
with my stealth
not.
check.
You're currently not next to him though.
Where is he?
You have to posture yourself.
He was
Where is
rolling a
he?
stealth check to posture himself, right?
Casually bump into him.
Where is he on the map?
Wait, I think...
Wait, who are you talking to? Who are you trying to steal from?
The bard. He's not here.
The bard is this man. The purple
That's
backpack.
you. Okay. Well, I use my stealth to get next to you then, and then I use.
Hold on. Okay, so your stealth is 11. Okay, so you're sneaking up next to him.
Okay, and then I use my sleight of hand to rummage through his pockets
Okay.
and take everything that he has.
For all he's worth.
So here's what's gonna happen. Let me just quick check.
So, Ziggy, have you been thinking about a character?
Of what?
This bard's about to murder you. He's the narrator.
I hate to break it to you, but your sleight of hand, in full transparency here, your sleight of hand is really good. However, the way stealth works in D&D is, as has been explained to me by a great mentor of mine, you always think that you are stealthed. No matter what you roll, your character always believes that they're sneaking. However, just because you think you're sneaking does not mean that you're hidden to everybody. So, for example, you rolled an 11 on stealth, and you positioned yourself right next to our bard. Our bard's passive perception is he can see you as you sneak up to him, basically. So, without even rolling anything, he watches you walk up to him, and you put your hands in his pocket, and so he notices you do this. You manage to grab everything that you want necessarily out of it, but as you reach for that, he's positioned one item in particular away from you, and that is this spinning orb. It's like as we've discussed before, this is about the size of a baseball. It's an orb is almost like it's made out of glass. That, you know how when you spill oil into water, it makes that like rainbow color around it. It's got that kind of rainbowy spinning atmosphere to this orb, and as you put your hands in his pocket, he just pulls out this orb, and it transforms in front of your eyes into a clean-looking flute of the same type of glass-like structure, and he plays the flute a little bit towards your or towards you. Plays a little charm as he flickers the flute around. He's gonna try and charm you, and you have to meet a DC 16 Charisma saving throw to not be charmed. So just roll me just a flat Charisma. You roll a 7. So
Damn.
as you reach in this man's pockets, you take out a gold or a gil purse. You've got just some old notes and stuff that have been stashed. You notice that he's carrying with him like a book that seems to have a lot of notes within it. And as you're grabbing all of this, you manage to grab all of it, and he watches you do it and plays the flute, and it charms you. You instantly put back everything you just stole back into his coat. And he says, "Looks like your friend," he turns back to the group, the bard does. He says, "Looks like your friend's willing to go with me." And then you can't help but nod.
How presumptuous. I'll listen to what you have to say, snake charmer, I don't know, bunny charmer, whatever you...
As you see this happening, our Makote friend just kind of leaves the scene. He doesn't want to be here anymore. Him and Chloe have left.
Well, let's get a move on then. We don't have all day.
Oh, as long as the demon is under control, I don't mind going back to town.
Excellent.
Maybe the bard will charm it.
As he walks away, he snaps his fingers, and Aubrey is once again uncharmed, and you have the option to follow.
I suppose.
All right, and our players go back into town. So we're back at the bar, and this will just be talking per se. And our bard sits down back at the corner of the room where he started, right next to where all those bar stools are, like somewhere in here. And he picks up some stuff that he had left there for a minute, and he looks at you guys and says, looks around the room, and he sees a lot of people that are over on the left, just hanging out, and he kind of looks over and he sees, there's a table on the right that seems to be more or less open. So he kind of waves at you guys and positions to sit at the table.
I will go sit with the bard.
Okay. So we have Gideon, we have our bard. Do the rest of you posture your way over there?
Yes, I will follow.
Cool.
And my axe.
And my fairy.
My fairy. For the sake of things, just to make it very clear, I'm just gonna throw your guys' icons out on here, just so that it, more or less kind of gives a position. So we have our bard. You can ignore where the chairs are, but we have Atlas, We have Gideon. The rest of you have made it over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have Miko and Aubrey.
I drew myself a chair.
Damn, I'm just gonna stand on the table, I guess.
You can draw yourself a chair in your own time if you'd like.
I'll sit over here then, on the other chair.
On the bar stool next to the area. Okay.
Yes, but I have superb hearing, so I'll be okay.
You're at the table, but you're in one of those like situations where you and your friends go out to a nice area, and it's like there's only 4 chairs. So you like grab a chair that doesn't belong, and you kind of sit close to the table, but you're not really at the table yet. It's one of those situations.
Mm.
So as you guys, you're there for support for sure. So you guys are just hanging out at the table, and the bard kind of smiles and says, "I suppose you guys have had enough drinks for the night, huh?"
Well, I can do
So
with one
presumptuous, Bard.
Oh, by the way,
What my
you guys don't need to refer to me by my job.
So what
No,
will we call you?
I prefer it this way. I'm going to continue to call you Bard.
I
What's
see.
your name, good sir?
Well, my name is Favonius Ender. But
Interesting name.
you guys can just call me Fender.
Fender.
Hey, so fucker.
Hey, fucker.
So by the way,
rude.
everything you're saying is going right at him, and he kind of scoffs at you, and he is, you can see in his head trying to figure out if he's made a mistake.
Is that did your parents name you that? Or is that like your Bard fake name they use for traveling?
I just look at him and tell him, "Can you just charm them to shut up?"
This is an important set of questions.
I was given this name.
Wow,
By my parents.
unfortunate. Anyways, whatever you were saying.
So, Mr. Plutonius,
Platonius Maximus.
Plutonius Maximus. Yeah.
I was trying to remember the whole gladiator speech.
Anyways, I talked to the bartender, and I order us a round of the world famous cactus piss.
Excuse me.
And
Oh my god. Okay.
yes, canonically, cactus piss is a Eorzean drink,
Oh, I see.
and so I order a round for the
That's,
table.
What is it?
It's
Would that just be water?
famous in Ul'dah, and Ul'dah is a bit of ways from here, so it's gonna cost a little more than you may be used to. The
And I tell the
Perfect, we have
bartender
no
that
money.
it's all on Favonius tonight.
You also don't have any guild to your name anymore.
Yeah, but Favonius.
Yeah,
That's
but
money.
Favonius, this one's on Favonius.
He wants us to stop and listen to him. He's gonna have to pay for my drinks.
Fender looks over and or Favonius, or however you want to call him. He looks over to the bartender and kind of does one of those like nods, but he's saying no with his eyes.
Does the bartender pick up on it or not?
The bartender kind of
Can we get a perception check?
Go ahead and do a perception check on the bartender.
Am I getting my drinks or
Or
not?
you can do insight or perception, whatever one you want to do. Insight would be like giving you the meaning.
If I can't do it, the bartender has to do it.
The bartender does not need to roll for this. If you want to know what's going on, you need to.
Wait, but how come the bartender doesn't have to roll?
Oh, they have some fucking secret.
I want to know. I'm nosy. Let's go. Insight or perception?
Perception or insight, depending on what you're looking for. Perception's gonna give you clues of what they're doing. Insight's gonna tell you what they're intending. You can derive whatever you want from either. It's pretty much whatever you're.
Intending
whatever
bring
you're
me my
better
drink.
Right. Okay.
Perception. Bartender nods back at at Fender, seeming like she understood what he was saying.
Damn.
Well, I would roll an insight. Oh man.
So Miko looks over and he immediately recognizes what this is. He thinks that Fender is trying to hit on the bartender, or she thinks rather. Miko's like, dang, Fender's got moves.
Fender's got moves.
We have a roll from Aubrey, and Aubrey sees a very similar thing. Sees the bartender nodding back in response, not to his request, but to Fender's. So, as that little moment passes, he says, "So, I guess you're wondering a little bit why I asked you guys to join me back here." And as he says that, we see a rather large gentleman, a big Rogadin, not much different than the original one that we saw that encountered Gideon earlier on. And if you recall the story, the Rogadin that had walked in saw the symbol on Gideon's shield and spat at
I
his
remember
feet.
all too well.
And an encounter was very well underway. But then our bard friend here, Fender, intervened by strumming a note that knocked the Rogadin on his feet asleep, which he then shortly after ran out of the room to go in and meet with the Makote that had his daughter taken. So a man of very similar stature walks out from the back room of the bar, and he comes up around where Miko and Atlas are sitting, and he's hulking, he's big, but you also know that this is not exactly the same man that you saw previously.
Not exactly? What does that mean?
I mean, he looks to be very similar in terms of size and of attire, but this is, you can tell it's not the same person.
Okay.
Different face and different
face, different hair, that kind of stuff. But like you can tell, maybe, I guess if you want to roll, maybe some insight on him or perception, either one. Insight will tell you more about his postures. Perception will tell you more about what he's wearing, what you can see.
Yeah, my insights is just.
Sabaka looks at this this big guy, and you can tell he came out of the back room, so he seems to be from this place, from the pit. Anybody else want to roll anything?
Okay.
So as he comes over, he puts a hand on Miko's chair, he puts a hand on Atlas's chair, and says, "Ha, Fender! These are the guys you're talking about." He nods silently. Says, "You guys were out of here in a hurry. I hope you fared well."
Of course we did. We're a group of capable... I don't want to say friends. People.
You're saying this out loud, by the way.
I don't want there to be any mistake. These are not my friends, but we are...
Now, would nothing but a bunch of friends run out to save one that they've barely met? You didn't know that Makote that ran in here earlier. I was behind the kitchen over there myself, behind the counter. Saw that man run in, saw you all get together as if you're a bunch of friends who've known each other for years. And y'all ran out. Now that
Hero
seems like
would
a bunch of friends.
recognize that there is nothing nobler than self-sacrifice, Rogadin.
You kid me, me boy. I remember my old days of adventuring. Time's past, though, and, well, now I like to, treat all of ye that come in and hang out here at me bar. So, this man here, Fender, he, picked up your tab. Do you all know each other then, or?
No, he's just doing us a favor.
Fender is, once again, kind of just just sitting back, and he's listening to how you guys are talking to this man. Me manners. I haven't told you my name. The name's Hargis Brimfar. Probably won't remember that, but if you do,
It's been fire.
it's Hargis Brimfar.
I take out my notebook and write it down.
You are all welcome around the bar as long as you have the gill for it. Well, I guess I leave you to your business then. Before you go, Fender notions to Hargis, and he says, you had mentioned some information to me earlier about some interesting suspects in the area. I was wondering if you could maybe give us that same information once more. You're talking about the lass. No, the other one. Oh, sorry. You're talking about the wandering-eyed one. Yes, by the marketplace? Yes. There's a man been walking around these parts, and I'd like to think that I keep tabs on all that enter Mordona. It's not like we have many places around here for food and drink. So, I've been keeping an eye out, and there's been a man recently that has shown up, and he always is wearing this hood over his head and never keeping too much in one place. He's been eyeing the area around the market board, talking to a few people, and I think that he may have intentions of his own. You see, he's been keeping a notebook with him, and every time he's been taking inventory of our marketplace, I think he means to rob it. Now, and Fender once again speaks up. He says, I'll be honest with you guys. I see that you're capable and strong adventurers. And this petty theft is probably something you've seen, and well, I mean, we don't even know much about this guy, and probably not worth your time. However, I did want to bring up something. I've been in this area and the surrounding areas for a bit of time now. You see, I'm not originally from this main continent of Eorzea. I come from a land with, well, let's say it's a little offshore. And we've been, settling up and taking great interest in the land here of Eorzea. And we have noticed some dealings with the Empire. Are you guys familiar with the Garleans?
Yes.
Well acquainted with him.
If you guys would like to roll me each a history check,
Oh, of course.
we can figure out what you remember. Okay.
I'd like to completely neglect to even participate in the conversation.
Okay.
Damn.
Cool.
-1.
Yeah, you have a -1 to history. Aubrey, do you want to roll? Okay, cool. So we'll start with Atlas. Atlas thinks back to the Garleans, the Garlean garlic. Oh, that reminds you, you're very hungry. Oh, that's never mind. As the moment kind of passes, you get distracted thinking about garlic bread and not the Garlean Empire. We then go to Aubrey with our next highest roll, who you recall in your head. The Garlean Empire is northeastern to the area where you are now, the main continent of Eorzea, or Aldenard, and you know that in recent times they've been pushing more and more southwestern, and have recently taken over some areas, including Alamigo. Was the most recent battle that was fought.
Hey, Baka, you're transmitting.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you're getting like a fan noise.
Oh, alright, let me turn off the fan.
Sorry, you have to deal with the heat.
We suffer
Why must we suffer? So Miko thinks back, and Miko, you remember you were with the Charlians in a schooling type situation, close to the I guess to the northern area of where you are now in Mordona. They had settled up a little colony and have been, offering teachings from Charlian. And in your studies with them, you remember a lot of your closest advisors and your teachers talking a lot about, in great interest, of the Empire. And you know that the Garlean Empire was, seizing a lot of new land, and it threatened, the stability within the continent, as well as, that the Charlians took a pretty good interest in whether or not they could continue their teachings and their studies. You remember overhearing, too, that there was talks about sending negotiation to prevent any further battling with the Empire, because you knew the Charlians took no interest in conflict with that nation. So out of that, you kind of get that background knowledge. So as you guys all hear that, Fender says, "Yeah, so the Empire has been pushing in recently, and I work with a group of individuals that believe that they plan to make a move on this location. I don't know when, I don't know how, and quite frankly, I'm not exactly yet sure why. I've been here for a few days now, and Hargis here has been giving me his company. And in my time here, I've been keeping an eye as well, and I think that this man here, while at first glance keeping inventory on our stock might seem like a petty theft or an attempt to rob the market, I have a suspicion that this man isn't just taking inventory for himself, but he's potentially sizing up the place."
You think I'm a spy?
Exactly. I think he's part of a small scouting squadron, and yet I've only seen this one man, so I don't know where he's been. He's not exactly been around as of late. I'm afraid that we might actually be too late to catch him in the act. However, he was seen last night, and there was a storm that came through, as I'm sure you were aware, as you guys had come in earlier this morning. I don't think he would have left too far. In fact, if I had to guess, he's probably on back way to whatever encampment he is staged nearby.
And you have no idea where this is?
I don't. But that's where I think we could be of a mutual benefit. I think you guys here are all searching for something, and I like to think that I have a means or the connections to help you seek out what you are looking for, whatever that may be. However, if you essentially don't help me out here, I'm afraid that we might not wake up tomorrow morning to the sweet smells and the aroma of our beautiful bar here. But we might wake up to a conflict. And I'm not sure we would survive.
Is it not presumptuous to assume that everyone here is against Garlemald? I kind of eye my the party. Send a gaze around.
I do an insight check on the party while he was talking.
Insight on the party. Okay. With your insight check, you see that Fender is taken a little bit aback by the statement that Gideon has said. And yet he then kind of rolls his eyes back up in his head, and he kind of nods as if he understands maybe where he's coming from. Hargis, though, on the other hand, is visibly disturbed by the comment.
Wait, by Gideon's comment of we're all
Gideon's
against
comment.
the Empire.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hargis speaks up and says, "I have a soft spot for the Garleans, do ye?"
I say you must have missed the crest of my shield. I was from Mordona before I was forced out. That does not give me much.
From
That does not mean
from
that
Alamigo, right?
Or sorry, what did I say?
You said Mordona, which is where we currently are.
Oh, sorry.
From Alamigo.
Alamigo. My notes aren't in front of me. Alamigo.
Yep.
I have no love for them, but I think it is just presumptuous to assume that everyone's standings are so high, with the thought that there may very well be spies in your midst, to so openly share this information in a bar. It seems foolish at best.
Ye may be smarter than the rest of us, then. He looks at your shield, and he's gonna do a little quick check.
Gonna Google something real quick. What's that crest?
No, he looks down at your shield. I'm rolling off screen, by the way, and he says, "That symbol. I seen a man carrying a very similar symbol with him.
Where?
Came by me bar. Maybe a week, 2. It's been a while. Came by the bar and asked for very little. Took shelter for a day and said he was heading south to Ulda, I believe."
Maybe my path is already decided.
Friend of yours?
But I hope so. Before I leave, I'll help you. But then I'll be on my way.
I see. Fender kind of looks back at you and, brushing off maybe what you previously said. He says, "Well, it's not going to be a small task. In fact, I, in truth, am asking you guys a lot because I'm very skilled into many things, and combat hasn't always come naturally to me, to be honest. And I'm afraid that there's a very slim chance we get out of this without some sort of conflict. However, hopefully my information will prove to be very useful. And with you 4 at my side, I think we have a chance at tracking down this individual, seeing if he truly is what I believe him to be. And then maybe we can yet save this small little roadside stop from being taken over."
So what say the rest of
as any. As long as I get, some food as a reward, then I'm perfectly fine doing any job that people need.
As he says this, the bartender comes around and has 6 shots of cactus piss.
Oh, God.
Puts it in the center of the table. Fender grabs one and kind of nods to you guys, puts it up in the air.
Is this gonna kill me?
Says,
I've never drank cactus piss before, but it doesn't sound good.
I don't think I had cactus piss in mind when I wanted food.
he says, "Take it or leave it. It's on me." Knocks it back.
It'd be rude to turn down a free drink, and I'll knock mine back too.
Cool. Hargus grabs his and takes it as well. Are we leaving the other 3 shots there?
Wait, give me 1 second.
I hold out. I pick up a glass and hold it up to the to the table. Cheers.
Hold it up. Yeah.
Get my glass and begrudgingly drink it.
Begrudgingly sips on his shot of cactus piss.
It is the only type of food that I'm gonna get. I was, hoping more for a what food is there?
You should have said so, me boy. I'll be right back. Hargus steps away from the table and makes his way over to the kitchen area. And as you hear in the background him like, "Get out of the boys! He's like yelling at his chef that's there in the back. And then you hear him just cackling with a laugh.
I roll a history check at this cactus piss to see if I want to drink it or not.
From what you can tell in your history, while you've never had said cactus piss yourself, when you were studying in Charlian, you know of a lot of the other college students there who would commonly grab this as a cheap shot, and therefore you know that it is it's real. You know it's not a fake thing.
See.
It probably won't kill you. Based on the ingredients, which I will not list, it won't kill you.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
What temperature is this cactus piss?
You're thinking too much, Cat. Just tip it back.
I chill it even further using prestidigitation.
Okay. You take the
Put some ice. You put some
take the
ice in
chilled
your
glass.
cactus.
I'll put some ice in my cactus piss.
I will very loudly, very noticeably roll my eyes.
You loudly roll your eyes. How is that possible? Let's go.
Easy to percept.
And then Miko drinks it.
Excellent. All right, knocking him back. Fender puts his glass back down on the table after it's gone, and he says, "So, I'm sure that I can work it out with Hargus, but there's room out back that we could stay here overnight, and I'm sure that he's planning a meal for you right now. I don't know how much gil you have on you. Probably, I'd imagine, not very much. Spoiler for the meta, we haven't talked about gil, so you don't have any, because one of you had paid a great deal just to get to Mordona. The other one of you is coming from basically being a refugee. One of you is scrounging by on less than ideal housing situations, a little more of the thievery life. And one of you is coming back from college debt. So,
I wonder which of us is the thief. Maybe the guy who tried to pickpocket the bar.
You may not be very good, which is why he's not very very
well off.
Yeah.
Hey, so we got to start somewhere,
Fair enough.
But Fender looks at you guys and says, "I could probably get you free accommodations while you're working with me here. Anything else I can pay for. And should we be successful and we make it through this venture, I'll see to it that you guys get a fair cut."
What does it pay to protect a small trade town?
Well, I'm sure we could either discuss this later, unless you'd like to do it up front.
No, I suppose doesn't matter as much to me.
So, relatively speaking, you guys know that, a good meal around these parts, the finest food that they have to offer is around 5 gil. Some of the finer drinks around here are 5 gil, but you could get an easy meal around here for 1 or probably 2 or 3 gil. that's how our monetary values are going to work. He looks around and he says, depending on how it goes, paying for your accommodations during the time that you're here and potentially, risking your lives to go on this adventure. Should we break out in any combat? 10 gil apiece? And should we be successful, I'll branch out with my many connections. I'm sure that you're all here searching for something, as all adventurers are in Mordona, and mayhaps I can point you in the right direction.
Wait, so we get room and board?
For the time that you're here, consider it on me.
Alright.
Which to Miko is very great, given that you've just spent a ton of money on room and board for the Charlian studies.
Yep.
Alright. Well, seems like a fair enough pay. I doubt it will come to that, but we'll see how it goes.
So, and Fender kind of looks around. He says, I didn't exactly see your confrontation with the ogres, but I did catch up with you guys at the very end there. Your specialties. Obviously you know that I am a bard by trade. I've studied with a great mentor of mine, and in doing so have learned many trades of various instruments that I call upon in what I guess you may call combat. I don't typically result or look to instigate such frivolities, but I when needed am able to defend myself. But I'm curious to see what skills you guys all have with you. He kind of motions over and looks at Atlas, who's to his immediate left.
So is this like where we go into like what like a class per se?
Yeah, what I see you have the giant sword, of course. Presumably a Dark Knight?
Yes, that is correct. I wander around and help people those in need, and all I ask for is just some room and board in return for my service.
Seems like we've hit that on the mark, haven't we? You're a pretty intimidating guy. I'm sure you get that a lot.
I do indeed, but you should see my other Vieran brothers at the Gilmoran Woods. The second you see them, you'll probably find yourself 6 feet under.
Interesting. He kind of laughs and awkwardly sweats one drop from his forehead. Looks over to Miko. Says, "And you, I presume, a scholar of sorts."
Yeah, I bring out Eos and I give him a face shield.
Eos is summoned out and gives Fender a face shield. He says, very good. I see you are one of the protectors of this party then. That could come in handy for sure. Actually, hold on. Eos is a lot smaller. Weird.
Nice.
There we go. And you there. And he looks over at Gideon. I see the shield. Paladin, I presume?
Gladiator, but close enough.
Gladiator.
Never learned the finer points of spell casting.
Ah.
I get by.
So a man of more physical strength than magical.
Yes, very accurate.
Very noble indeed. And finally you. I'm not so sure. I see a scythe are you a botanist?
What I am or am not is of no business. Is of no concern to you.
Interesting. An enigma.
I interject by saying what he is a demon, and I recommend you stay a safe distance from him.
A demon. How interesting indeed.
Indeed.
You know, I once knew a demon. As he's talking, Hargus comes back to the table. Ah, here ye are! And he slams down a giant lobster onto the table, freshly cooked, and he looks at all of you and smiles and says, "Get at it, dig in." And he chunks off like the tail of the lobster and grabs some of the meat on the side there for himself, puts it on a plate, pulls up a stool next to you guys and sits down and enjoys a nice little meal.
Well, no, I wasn't expecting a lobster, but it seems that they treat us well here.
I will join in.
Very nice, very nice.
Me too, and I break up a little piece for Eos, even though she doesn't eat.
I grab some lobster and crack the shell with my scythe.
Ooh, very cool, very cool. So we got Scythe Boy cracking that open. Everyone else just kind of digging in with the silverware and stuff that had been just sitting at the table. Thunder looks over and at Hargus and says, "This from your boys?" He says, "Ha ha! Freshly caught earlier the other day." Fender looks over and says, "Hargus was telling me how he used to be a sea captain, and would sail between Limsa Laminsa and the main continent here. However, his seafaring days have been put aside and has huddled up here at the pit." Hargus kind of laughs back and says, "But me boys and me ship still sail. Now they be providing me fresh meat and fresh seafood that I can use here at the pit." Pretty economical.
A good strategy.
A great strategy. So you guys just kind of finish up any meals. Any conversation before you guys are done?
What's our
So
plan?
what time does this man come around again? What is his usual times you spotted him?
Yes. The supposed spy. Well, you see, and Fender puts down his food and he looks over to you and says, I've been watching him for, let's see, the past 3 days now. It's usually been over at the market square, and he usually comes by just before they close and stays shortly thereafter, so he can talk with the individuals that are there. And then usually as the shops are closing sometime around 9 in the afternoon, he has been seen kind of looking around at the various wares and trying to, seems like he's even sizing up how many individuals are here. I've seen him usually after those hours, closer to maybe the 10 o'clock hour. He's looking around the gates and checking up on the various guards that are here, and he's not exactly the stealthiest individual, to be fair. So yeah, I would say it's usually close to when the shops are closing. However,
Right.
he hasn't been here at all today. So today in particular, we are coming up right now at like 8:40. He kind of looks over at a tombstone that he carries with him, which is basically a cell phone, which exists at this time because I said so. And he says, we're approaching time when the markets are just about to close, but I haven't seen him around at all. So I'm afraid that he might be done in looking finding what he's looking for.
Well, the best way to know is just to go to the shopkeepers and ask them what he was asking about.
That's not a bad idea. We might be able to get an idea of, where he has been, or maybe what he's been asking about, and potentially get a whereabouts of where he's headed to. So, you guys are kind of finishing up your food, and Fender says, if we hurry down to the market, we might actually be able to ask around a little bit. Are you guys down for something before we turn in for the night?
Sure, let's go to the market if everyone else is down.
Sure.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Well,
Sounds good to me.
I'll be closing up the bar, and sometime shortly, within maybe the next 2-3 hours, I'll keep an eye on the place, and when you guys are done, come back here, and I'll have the rooms made up for you. All right. With that, Hargis is going to walk away into his backdoor area, and the party, if Svender gets up, he says, I'll take you down to the market. And he makes his way out the front door for you guys to follow.
I do so.
All right, our players are going to leave the bar, and we head over to the Mordona Marketplace, a rustling and bustling area filled with, not too many people, to be honest, at this time of night, even though the picture is day. It is night there, just trust me. We are really closely approaching our 9 o'clock hour, and the shops are all basically getting ready to close here. But you take a look around, and Fender points out to you, and he says, well, here's the Mordona Markets. I'm not sure if you guys have, been here before. And I'm going to pull out your characters real quick, just so we can kind of get an idea of where you guys are. You're all just hanging out right here. And we have with you Fender. And of course, who could forget Eos, who's tiny.
Yay.
So Fender kind of walks you guys out here and says, over to our right here, we have a trading post, people who are collecting various materials and are helping to establish some relics of old and have been refurbishing some weapons. In the center here, we have people that are looking to gather and collect a number of supplies, and in return are, giving other materials and various goods. And on the left, we have more of the traditional market, which is, people that are selling your traditional goods and wares, including like foods and supplies that you might take when you're adventuring. We've seen the mysterious individual here, and he kind of gets closer to the group, so that, there's not a lot of people around, but obviously you're now in the open. He says, our mysterious individual had been, mainly scoping out the areas for the adventuring supplies, including those that are handling the relics, those that are selling, weapons and rations. And he took great interest as well in the various gates at either end. And, we could take a look at those later if you'd like. But we only have a short period of time here before these shops are closing up. So maybe it's best if we, split up a bit and see what we can find.
All right.
Sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
who's going to where?
He just kind of reiterating. There's the market square. We have a we'll call it the supplies depot. We have the more relic and weapons, and we have Aubrey, who is not going to climb all the way up to the top of the castle. But there's a castle in the back, of which for our purposes, is fully shut. And Fender mentions as well. He says the structure in the far back there remains shut at these times. I think, and I haven't exactly been back there myself, but I believe that is where a good number of these people take shelter at night. It's more of a residence area.
All right.
So, Aubrey
How about
Aubrey is
we
walking
send-
away from the group right now, very silently. Seems to be heading over to our relic area.
Where is this thief scene? Or the potential thief?
What was that?
Where was the potential
He
thief?
has been seen at all three of these locations: the relic area, the general supplies and crafting supplies, and then down here, which is general goods. He's been seen in all three of those areas. So between all of you, you can either choose to partner up and look for information, but you're only going to have one opportunity to search one area based on the
Oh,
amount of
wait,
time
we
you guys
can't.
have.
We can't split up.
You
or-
can split up. You're each going to have, because you have like less than 10 minutes before all the shops are closing. You're going to
All right.
have one shot, one opportunity to seize all the information you could ever want. So between the four of you and potentially Fender himself, you can tell him where you'd like him to go, and he can also try to persuade. You're looking for any
We
information.
may have to like split up into groups of two with one going with Fender. So I would say Miko probably talk to the Miko and Gideon talk to the
Who are the best talkers out of any of us?
the best intimidator.
That can be
You're-
valuable. So you should not
But
go
what-
with. So we.
I don't want to go to the marketplace because just showing up may intimidate shopkeepers to not want to talk to me. So that's why I'm sending Miko over, because she looks, she's approachable, and then Gideon, as far as I'm aware, you are very sociable. So you and her, you're able to kind of be like the muscle, to intimidate if you need to, but you won't scare them away like I will.
Okay, so. Well,
can
go
talk.
with the bard. Go with the bard. The bard is a soothing presence for these people. He's been here a while. People probably trust him. You go with him.
Me?
Yeah,
All right.
I'll go with Miko.
And then
And
we
you're
let the
gonna leave-
demon run around
You're
rampant.
gonna leave
Alright.
Aubrey to talk to him.
I
I have
demon
my own
can do what
partner,
the
don't
demon
worry.
We let the demon bread run around rampant, alright?
I'm sure he'll do great.
He's already
I'm
left
sure he
your
won't
group,
try and
so,
steal anything. That would be silly, right? Right, demon?
Do we really trust him? Do we really trust him alone?
We got stuff to do. We can't sit around. We don't have much time. We go with that plan.
You guys are now
Alright,
down to
well-
like 8 minutes to talk to
Alright,
these
well,
Well, all the
Well-
while they're trying to decide their teams and whatnot, I've already been spending my time wisely.
people. So,
Fender and I will be at the supplies depot. He'll counter my intimidating self.
Fender's gonna go up here. All right, and then Gideon, you're going with Miko.
Miko.
All right.
If you are alright with that, Miko?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright,
While
cool.
they
Do
were
it.
deciding, I did a quick perception check to check out my surroundings.
You are, as I said, you're able to get to the market square, and you see there's a few shops open. You have somebody selling meats, somebody that's selling herbs, somebody that's selling more of like weaponry, like just simple weapons, and somebody that's selling like garb, like outfit, armor, and stuff like that. This being a mercenary kind of area. And then there's some people that are attempting to sell books, theoretically tales and knowledge, about.
I
about
go over
areas.
to those people.
So while you guys are gonna do that, we're gonna individually take a look at each space. We have first of all Aubrey, who we are at this station. So Aubrey,
Yeah.
you approach the area that you've heard is selling relics and various armor.
Mm-hmm.
And you have just a short amount of time to walk up to the area and ask your questions.
Right. Well, as I go up to the relic cellar,
Okay.
from afar.
You have
Very
you
far.
have 3 lovely ladies here to talk to. Which one do you want to go to?
I'll talk
Which one needs to get
to.
seduced?
Wait, what are their names?
You have not asked their names.
Oh,
You can't know their names until you ask Mr. Demon.
Yeah, give me a history
I
check.
go,
See
I
if you've
go to
ever
the
seen.
lady on the left. Right,
Okay.
and I ask her. Hurriedly, because I am short on time. But very politely, I ask. So what kind of services do you provide here?
She's currently like packing up some items and making sure that everything is tucked away. And she says, "Oh, sorry, I am putting things away already. This is welcome to our little humble abode here in Mordona. We sell the finest of relics and various weapons of interest that might be appeasing or appealing to the eyes of a trained individual such as yourself." She eyes the scythe on your back, which you've noticed is a bit of a different greeting than you normally get from people. She seems to more respect the fact that you're wielding such a weapon of finesse.
Well, I do appreciate anybody that is willing to have such an open mind as to respect my weapon and my partner and my companion. I hate to take too much of your time, but I can't help but notice that you bear a very striking resemblance to the famous Rowena.
Well, I do get that a lot. My name is Shyvana.
Anna, I see. What a wonderful name. I do realize that you're quite short on time, but if possible, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Sure? She seems a little unsure. She continues to start packing up some things, and all the papers that you see on the table are being put away as if the other 2 girls as well are rummaging through some stuff to try and lock up for the night.
I see. Well, I appreciate your time. And so I'm on the lookout for a bit of a shady character in these parts. Have you heard anything of the sort?
She laughs. It's like, there's plenty of them here. It's part of the job.
I'm looking for someone who might be looking for a little bit too much information around these parts, possibly even stealing some certain valuable items. Anything of the sort lately?
Well, I met a man who asked for my name and didn't give me his.
My sincerest apologies.
Damn.
I'm quite new to these parts, so I'll apologize for my crudeness. My name is Aubrey.
Aubrey. Pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. And I hate to rush the conversation, but getting back to the topic. Besides me, perhaps anybody sneaking around of the sort?
And what would you be looking for in particular?
You see,
There's a lot of shady creatures and mercenaries, I guess you could call them, in these areas, and you'd maybe have to help me out so I can help you.
we're looking for a thief of sorts, trying to putting his hands where perhaps he shouldn't be.
There's a lot of men here that do that. But a thief, I can't say anything's been stolen from our area. We do a pretty thorough job locking up everything here at 9 at the hour, and our inventory's checked every morning. There's nothing that's been lost in many weeks. In fact, a lot of our relics here are really junk to most people. See, we gather various items from a number of the mobs and monsters that are outside these walls, and fashion them into very unique weapons that give a lot of personality to the mercenaries that come through the area.
I see. That's quite fascinating.
She kind of stops for a minute and then continues to rummage through her stuff. You get the idea too that you have maybe a minute left to talk with her.
Okay. Well, I roll perception here in order to see if there might be anything suspicious about her statements.
So if you're gonna roll about her statements, particularly, you're gonna roll insight.
Insight, perhaps. Perhaps there's something she said that could give me some clues or hints, that I might not have asked.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry.
It's all good.
And then perception?
We are rolling insight, which
Insight?
is in
Okay.
skills. You roll a nat 1, baby. You look at her.
Yes,
You look at Shavana here, and you're trying to figure out. You said you're trying to figure out if she knows anything.
Or like if there might be something I could ask
Something that you could ask.
that might garner me some more information.
So, you're trying to think like, should I be asking her anything? And you think back about all of the burning questions in your mind, and you're thinking back and you're like, well, there's the thief guy we're looking for, the spy. You're here in Mordona for a reason. Why were you here in Mordona? You're looking for information. You lost your memory. You can't remember back too much when you were a kid. You don't even remember your own family and your parents. And it couldn't be. But maybe there's a small chance that fate brought you here for a reason. And there's a small, even if there's a small chance, you might have to just take it. But this lady could be your mother. She could be. That's what you get.
I ask her. I rub my eyes very, very cleanly, very rapidly, and I ask her, "Mother, is that you?"
She looks up at you completely surprised. I'm gonna roll on the side. As you say that, she locks up the last final things of her stuff, kind of scoffs at you, and walks away with her 3 friends. And her and her companions leave the stand.
Damn, they're just walking away. I was like, did he just call you his mom? Oh my god, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, they're kind of doing a little girl chat as they walk away, and they're laughing, and they're laughing at you, not with you. All right,
Oh, my poor boy.
That's our scene with Aubrey.
Unfortunately, I didn't get any information.
Hopefully,
sorry,
you got
guys.
what you're looking for.
You did your best.
Isn't your character technically older than her?
No. I think
Look,
all of
you
you
have
guys.
a lot of heart, and that's not lost on
All
me.
of you guys are between like 20 and 30. I think you're like lower 20s, if I remember correctly. So
I think my character is like around his like mid to late 20s. I don't remember. Probably
yeah,
30
you
something.
guys are like more young adults, and yeah.
I'm older, I think.
Hey, but in that one, somebody who's your age could be your mother. You don't. That's just how it's gonna be.
Damn, imagine.
So
She's just out of the womb pregnant.
yeah.
Kinda
Well,
creepy.
that was an event. We're gonna move on to our other friends here, which is, I believe, Atlas and Fender. who have decided to team up and talk to the middle shop or middle establishment here, who is seemingly gathering a lot of supplies for Mordona. Fender walks up with Atlas and he says to you, "How do you want to do this?"
Well, there's two ways we could do this. We could just be upfront and just ask them if they've seen anybody suspicious around here, or try to be a little bit coy about it.
I trust your judgment.
What do you think, Mr. Bard?
Well, if I have any way in the matter, I would say that the people here are used to mercenaries. They're used to being talked to very upfront, and people get what they want, and they leave. I don't think they'll take too kindly to, people asking for vague information because we may not necessarily be privy to them. That said, we don't necessarily want to raise too many suspicions because, the individual that we're looking for information about, he isn't exactly, he's not exactly known to be a thief of any kind. We have no proof of that. So ourselves would be looking very suspicious if we start asking too many questions. So, I know that you are a pretty, I'd say smooth talker, but maybe that's not the right words. But I'll leave this to you. I'll follow your lead.
All right then. Let's speak directly because I don't like speaking in riddles. So, who do we talk to here? I guess we'll talk to her. She seems like she's, seen one many people.
Which individual?
Her right here.
The lady out front?
Yeah.
As you're approaching, she is kind of packing up some stuff behind her, as well as the two individuals behind there. And she doesn't notice you come up.
Excuse me, miss. We don't mean to take up too much of your time. We just have a few questions to ask you.
Aye, be on with it.
So have you seen a hooded man come about here, ask any weird questions, or just any questions in general?
A hooded man. Well, there was this one, I don't know what he must have been, some sort of a mage. He, long beard, and he wore a hood over his head. Asked a lot about incantations and various potions that we kept. We had to send him over to the marketplace. We don't carry any of that kind of stuff here.
Okay, then he was here when again?
The man came by earlier the morning. I think 2 days ago.
2 days ago?
Fender kind of nudges to you and says, "I don't think this is our guy."
All right. Is there any other guys? Are there any other suspicious people you've probably seen? Anybody asking questions besides this besides this mage?
Looking for someone in particular?
Just curious. We think that this guy may have a lead on. We just think he may have a lead on our current adventure, and we just want to get the information out of him.
A lead on your current adventure. Let me see. Why don't you roll me a persuasion check?
Where's persuasion?
It's in your skills list with acrobatics, investigation, all that kind of stuff.
Perception, performance. Oh, there it is.
You roll a 13. She says, and you have a mission maybe that relates to this individual. Let me think. I'm doing a roll on the side. She says, you know what? There was this other individual that came by actually a few times. He hasn't been here today, but he's been asking a lot about what we had been keeping in the area, and how often we get restocked up It seems like he was always trying to purchase something that we didn't have on hand. And we had to explain to him how times have been hard as of late. A lot of the beast tribes have been making it difficult to get supplies in, and he never really did end up buying anything, but he did keep coming back. Hopefully that helps you.
It does. Have you seen him today, by chance?
No, I don't think I have. He usually comes by around this time, but doesn't seem to have made it this way today.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you for your time. I won't take up any much more.
Aye.
And then we depart.
Fender says, thank you for your information. But by any chance, this hooded individual, could you, by any means, get us information about maybe the garb he was wearing? Was he fully hidden to you, so where you would not be able to maybe recognize his face? And I need to reload real quick because I'm unable to pull up Fender's charts. Fender rolls a 27. He's stacked in this, by the way. She says, yes, the man's, he wore the hood, obviously, but it drooped over his face to where I never really did get a look at him. Wouldn't be able to tell exactly who or what he was. Come to think of it, I guess that is a little bit offsetting. Didn't think of it much at the time, but he did hide himself quite well. And it seemed like, his attire was more of like a cloak that covered over some of what could have been his normal attire, if that makes any sense. Almost like a shroud. Perchance concealing an identity that he did not want to be made known. Fender looks at her and says, I understand. Thank you for your time. He turns away with Atlas. With that, we are now going to go to our final destination in the market. And I'm not sure how to get rid of the dice. Oh, if you just click anywhere on the screen, it gets rid of them.
There's dice.
Maybe if you saw the dice roll or not.
How do you do the dice roll? I think I saw you only do it once, but I haven't seen you do it here anymore.
It's in your
Curious.
settings. In your settings, you can turn on whether or not you want to see the dice rolls.
Enable 3D dice.
Yeah, you have to enable 3D dice.
All right. Okay.
And then they stick on the table until you click on the board. Then it gets rid of them. So, we have Gideon and Miko, who are here at the market. Miko did do a perception check, and as I told you before, we have people that are selling books and knowledge. We have some people that are selling more arms and weaponry. People that are selling various meats and mead, vegetables down here. More people selling books and knowledge back here. You guys have, a short amount of time to be able to talk to him, so you can choose how you want to approach it.
How do we want to approach this, Gideon?
Well, we don't have a ton of time. If there's one thing I know about working in a shop, it's that you hate staying past closing. And so we go in there, we get straight to the point. I think if we do anything else, we'll just look like suspicious people, looking for other suspicious people amongst all the rest. I think we go in honest.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Alright, let's go in.
Alright, who do we start with? The books?
Yeah, do you want to stick together?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Let's go do books.
Which ones? We have the ones, they have the lady up here that's very close. We have the people in the
I
back
didn't
as
see
well.
him. Let's do the close one.
Right
There's
here?
another
Well,
bookseller.
close to our perspective, I guess.
Oh, I can't see it. I have all the names right there. I'll take your word for it. I'll go into the close books.
Okay, so you approach the lady in pink right down here in the bottom left of our screens. And yeah, she's got her back turned to you guys as she's putting a lot of her books away in a bag, and looks to be closing up for the night.
I do a history check to see if I recognize any of the books.
So you on a history check, you roll a 9. Looking at the books, you know that they're more of you can tell that they're books from across the area. So Mordona being more of a road stop, you can see books that are written by authors from all over Eorzea, including down in Ul'dah, a few books from Limsa, some texts from Gridania, and nothing though that you would like recognize and be able to say I know these texts.
Can't afford these books anyways.
Maybe you open up with a bit of book talk, and then we get into business. You want to try that?
Yeah, sure. Hey, it looks like you have a lot of books from across the realm. Are you a well-read person?
She turns around and says, yes, they're a collection of mine that I would really much like to share with everyone.
Oh, nice. Have you ever read the Lusty Argonian? Heard it's a great book.
She kind of smiles to herself, but tries to conceal the smile.
I guess not.
I'd say sorry to break up the book talk. We do have some questions.
I hate that I get that reference.
Just real quick, not to bother you too long. We're looking for a suspicious figure, probably hooded, likely does not make any purchases. Just makes lists. Likely enough, we've heard he's keen on making lists, taking inventories. Things along those lines.
Are you?
I don't suppose you've seen that individual.
Investigators?
Is that an actual job here? Is that a thing? Investigator? I'm asking. Sorry, I'm meta asking right now. Investigator?
Roll me. You can do either history or insight. You can choose.
I mean, history or insight?
Whatever one you so choose.
Well, I don't have proficiency in either of those. So you know what? Sure. Of course it's a thing. She's asking me about it. I say yes. Me and my associate here are investigators currently looking into a very suspicious figure. I hope someone here in the market can help us.
Oh, well, I haven't seen.
I rolled deception, by the way.
Okay, so you're trying to conceal your intention.
No, I'm lying about being a detective.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're concealing the fact, I guess I guess you're being stealthy and being a deceptive. Okay, so you're trying to be an investigator. Okay.
I'm an investigator.
All right.
Look at that roll.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, just make sure you tell me what you're rolling for before you roll it. But we'll keep it.
Oh yeah.
Because it makes sense. So the girl is kind of turns around and says, "Oh, I guess I didn't realize this was such a big deal. I haven't seen anyone around my stall here, but some of my friends at the other stalls have mentioned that they have seen an individual that has been making these lists like you're talking about."
Okay, which stalls are those?
The armorer over down the way, especially has been reporting it and potentially was going to report the individual to the guard.
Oh, well, I see I've come to the right place. Thank you for your time. We'll go speak to your armorer friend.
And I say, if
yeah.
you ever want to read that book, let me know. I have a few spare copies in my back in my abode.
She
You
brushes-
spare cop.
She brushes her hair back and kind of looks away.
As
Alright.
we're walking towards the armor, I turn towards Miko and I say, I don't know what that book's about, but I'm not sure I like it.
It's a study of different races. And
Oh, really? That's actually very intriguing. You know what? When we get back, remind me. I'd love to give it a read.
all right, yeah, of course.
All right, Gideon and Miko make their way over to.
A lusty Argonian.
Yeah.
It is.
The lusty Argonian, and it's a study about different races and their like
Yeah,
different
exactly.
creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we make our way over to here. We have a Lullafell that stands there at the table, barely looking over the edge, and he sees you guys full approaching, and he is one of probably, if not the only person that has not yet packed up his stall, knowing that he has like 3 minutes still on the clock. And he greets you with a smile and says, "Ah, heroes, I can see it in your eyes. I have but the finest wares if you choose to browse."
Heroes of a sort. We're here with I don't want to say police.
If
Well,
you're keeping the charade, you're
gonna-
gonna roll me deception again.
I'm
I'll
gonna
do
use
it.
my history check to see if investigators are actually a thing.
They have to, I mean, she
So-
asked us about it. She's like, "Are you an investigator?"
So Baka so Miko is using her knowledge of the area, in Mordona, and to be honest, you don't really know a lot about Mordona because you haven't been here per se before, outside of just arriving the other day or earlier today. But you have heard stories that this is it has its own body, armed guard in the area. So you can imagine that there's probably a barracks and a commander of sorts. So any kind of investigator that could be here is basically just the town guard in some capacity. And from your information from the book collector over there, you essentially can interpret that you were deceiving her to basically say, yeah, you were helping to investigate for the guard because somebody might have, tipped them off that there was an issue. That's a natural 20, by the way.
Okay.
Of which I'm sure Miko shares with Gideon at this time.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. Am I prudent to this?
Yes, as we walk over, out of earshot of the book vendor.
Okay.
So this,
I am gonna say. Sorry to pick up where I was
Sure.
saying. I said, heroes of sorts. We're if you can't tell, we're not from around here. We're actually investigating a very suspicious man who we think is could be causing to seek a lot of misfortune on the nice people of Mordona, and we're trying to stop it. We're looking for a man, likely hooded, hiding his face, takes notes on inventories without ever buying anything. Does that ring any bells?
I know him. I know exactly the man you're talking of.
Oh. Well, when you're so sure. I take it you're not acquainted with him, are you?
Man is not a hero, and I can sense a hero.
Good, because his acquaintances would count as cohorts. I'm sure you understand. Do you know his name, his face?
I know nothing of the man. I know where he's been, I know what he's been doing in the area, and I have my suspicions. But that's all I have.
I use an insight check to see if he's lying, as he says that.
Your insight of 21, you can tell that this man is very confident in his answers. Because this is what he believes.
I turn towards Mikito.
Miko.
Miko.
The Mikito.
Sorry.
Miko the Mikito. Or Makote. Sorry.
Makote.
Oh, God.
I say, I do a real, like, smug detective kind of, so, you believe him?
Yeah, I think so. He looks like he's pretty confident in that he's telling the truth, at least.
The
You're
man,
sure
the
you
man
have
stares at you
nothing-
as you have this conversation.
I'm just,
Yeah, I'm doing it right in front of him. I'm a detective, damn it.
I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts on this armor because I'm not gonna use
Okay,
it. Otherwise.
I'd read
Uh,
that spell before you cast it.
So, I've talked with Baka about how this is gonna work. So
Can you remind me?
yeah. So typically this spell, it has like a certain way it works where you can read people's minds, and there's like a whole thing about them knowing if you're reading their mind, all that kind of stuff. What we're gonna do is he's rolling Detect Thoughts with a DC of 12, and this. So if you're choosing to run this against Lalafell, I'll let you back out if you don't want to. But the Lalafell is gonna have to roll I believe it is intelligence saving throw. No,
Probably
sorry, wisdom.
wisdom.
Wisdom. There it is. Yeah, I read the word intelligence, but yeah, wisdom saving throw. If he does not beat a 12, then you're able to fully read his thoughts. If he rolls above a 12, you're gonna get some surface thoughts of like kind of what he's thinking initially, but he's gonna immediately know that you are trying to read his mind. If he rolls below the like 11 or lower, you can read his inner thoughts and his feelings without him knowing, essentially, as long as you're staying concentrated on it.
I see.
But
But he doesn't know it's me, right? He just knows someone's trying to read his mind.
Correct. He just knows somebody's trying to read his mind. And depending on his background, it's a concentration spell, so it's not too difficult to figure it out, but he would have to know Arcana and stuff to be able to figure out it was you. Plus the fact you're standing right in front of him.
Let's go.
Okay, cool. So you're gonna try to detect his thoughts without talking to him. That's a thing.
You've talked to him several times.
Gideon's talking to him.
So I'm gonna say this guy, from a wisdom saving throw, I'm just gonna make this a flat D20 with no modifier, just to make it interesting. And I will roll that for you here. We're taking the first number. Die is broken for me.
Oof.
He rolls a 12, exactly. Meaning that you are going to get his surface thoughts, but he is immediately going to know that somebody's trying to read his mind. So, from a surface thoughts, right? Because the last thing you had asked him about was he was, you asked him about a man that he's seen, and as you're thinking about it, you realize this is, speaking for the Lalafell. He's like, man, this guy is, a shady creature. He's seen him around from, the last 2 days or so, but he hasn't been around today. And he's planning to go and talk to the town guard after he closes up shop here. As he thinks that thought about going and talking to the guard and mentioning it to them and trying to maybe solve the case on his own, he recognizes that somebody's trying to read his mind. And he is now going to do an insight check to see if he notices you doing this. And we'll say, why don't you... we'll keep the same thing. If he ends up, we'll say, we'll keep it the same, like level of 12. If he gets above a 12 or higher, he's going to know pretty easily that it's you. If he gets below a 12, 11 or lower, then he is not necessarily going to be able to tell. Rolls a 5. He looks at you and says, he's doing it. He's in my mind. Is he here?
Thief?
Look at him.
thief.
Or the suspicious
And
guy?
he does the Lalafell scared thing where he like flails his arms and his feet around. He goes, "He's here. He must be. He's trying to read me thoughts."
I look at him and I say, so me having no knowledge of her ability to cast any or I know magic, but definitely not detect thoughts. I'm just like, what are you talking about?
I end the spell.
All right, so the spell's over. He's like,
Yep.
"He's in me head. Close up the shop. I'm getting the guard." And he has his friend Highlander, I believe it is, who's packing up some of the boxes of the armor and stuff like that. He quickly starts to put away all the weapons, and he says, "Shop's closed. I'm sorry." And he immediately starts to grab all the stuff, packaging it away, and he starts to run down to the nearby gate to talk to the guard.
Is there any other shops around besides the other
All
bookstore?
of our shops are closed, and the individuals
Okay.
are all walking away.
As we walk away, I talk to Mikito.
I talked to Miko.
Miko. I don't know why I
Miko.
can't say that. I talk to Miko. I say,
Makito the
"Yeah,
mosquito.
You know, it's unfortunate. The one lead that we had, and a man comes across as crazy.
Yeah.
Guess we just have.
I know. Man, I guess we
Well-
just have to keep rolling with it.
Let's hope someone else found something better than we did.
All right.
Yeah.
I can assume everyone then meets back up where we previously left everyone.
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
So we have our group kind of coming back together. Aubrey, you want to make your way over here? Join the huddle.
Is the boy who accused a random woman that's his age to be his mother want to join us?
Not an
You
accusation.
don't know
Okay,
that.
it was.
This is
It wasn't an accusation. It was an invitation.
this is a,
Do you want to be my mother?
this is that was a
You
that was
wanna
a
be my
personal
Bobby?
message, right? So
You guys would not understand, okay?
We
You guys in
obviously
your
don't know
talks of zaddies and shit, you know? Sometimes you need a
Yeah.
mommy in your life.
I mean, mommy.
you know?
so
I know the culture.
you guys all obviously had your own conversations. Now, while we all sat here and listened to it, all the information that you had is only shared with those that were there. So what we're going to do now is obviously you get back together. Whatever information you reveal is what becomes, your shared collective information. Anything you wish to not talk about, anything embarrassing that you did, can stay hidden. So, Fender gets back and says, "Anybody get anything?"
We had a
Nothing
lead,
on
but
my end.
sounds like the armor may have had him, but his testimonial is not going to be very useful. Sounds like the man was going insane by the end of it. I hope you got something more out of it.
Yeah, I wish I could have done something for him. Feels bad.
Went insane. What do you mean?
He kept yelling about someone being in his head. He sounded like he may have had some useful information. He said he saw the man making lists but never got his face, never got his name, and then tried to ask him a few more questions.
In his head.
Started yelling about someone being in his head.
He looks
Seemed,
over. He looks. Fender looks over to Miko, and says, "In his head, that wouldn't by chance be our mysterious spy, would it?"
Maybe. I hadn't considered him as a magician. I don't suppose anyone else has gotten any better details that may support the fact that he's invading the thoughts of merchants?
We don't necessarily have any details that could support that. However,
Wait, I'll make a history check to see if I remember how bad detecting thoughts is in the culture.
You mean like bad as in like
Oh,
bad
as in like a
voodoo?
Yeah, like a skill that's frowned upon.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess yeah, even in the history 10, detect thoughts is seen as a very cunning tool. It has its uses, but it's kind of like a let's see. You're not exactly seen as a good person for doing it in a non if it's not very good and evil, not night and day of like, hey, you're using detect thoughts to interrogate a criminal in a setting where you're with a bunch of people that know you're doing it. Detect thoughts can be seen as a very like deceitful and like a spy tool.
I see. Well,
so not sharing information about using a skill makes you look bad. Is essentially what you can get out of that.
I fess up. I use detect thoughts because I thought I could get something out, but
Fender kind of nods. He's like,
Did you?
All right.
Well, is it detect thoughts or is it detect like thoughts? You know what I mean?
Ziggy.
Ziggy has a theme about his character that I'm not sure I can get behind.
Aubrey is an interesting
You know what?
character.
Can I cut him down? He's more of a hoe than he is a demon. Can we just?
Is that a demon? Oh.
Dude, when you said we hoeing, that's Ziggy right there. We hoeing.
He's just gonna be like, I can't control it. It's just a demon. The demon's controlling me. I was like, yeah.
I just want to see the world burn.
Alright. Well, I guess after that little bit, Fender kind of looks over to Miko and says, "Okay, so it was you then that tried to get in this man's head?
Yep.
And did you get anything useful? Were you not able to just converse with him?"
Well, see, conversing is not my strong suit. I wanted to be able to understand him better. It seemed like he
hope
thinks
you
this guy
didn't
is very
use another
suspicious.
useful spell slot for that, did you?
Nope. I have no useful spell slot.
Is this bard using meta knowledge? Suspicious of his bard.
Spells. Yeah, no, it's I guess the phrasing would be mana. You didn't burn up any mana using that.
Hey, look,
Any
what's that?
precious mana.
I use prestidigitation to create a spark behind him, and then try to distract
Light
him
the
from
place on fire.
conversation.
He looks around and says, "Well, hopefully we don't end up in any kind of engagement later that you might regret that." At the very least, you got some information then, or nothing?
Well, yeah, I guess with that gleam of knowledge, we know his testimonial was not hindered by madness. So I'll say he knows of him. Apparently he frequented quite a bit, but not today.
Okay.
And made lists, never made any purchases. The usual
And you said
suspect.
you talked to the weapon, the armorer?
The armor. Well, we took to the bookkeeper as well, but it seems like he wasn't interested in books. So she never got a visit from him.
Interesting. So it seems like our spy is taking a tally on the weapons more than of the culture of this area. What about you, Dark One?
Dark Thought Lord.
He looks at Aubrey, but then kind of realizes that there's a Dark Knight behind him.
I'm staring at Aubrey even though he says the Dark One.
The true evil of it.
Unfortunately, I've not gleaned much. I apologize for my lack of progress here.
Not even like an ounce of information.
Do we know of any
Anything
visitations
helpful?
or anything about the man?
What did you say?
Did you learn of any kind of visitations? What the man could be looking for? Any interest of what he might be doing?
The only thing I've come to the conclusion of is that he seems, despite being very shady, that he hasn't taken any direct, overtly suspicious actions, at least where I'm concerned.
So he hasn't taken any items?
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Interesting. And you then, Atlas, was it? I'm sure we've all introduced ourselves and our names. Atlas, you want to report what we found?
So we found out that he has been asking about stuff. Is it magical stuff that he said? I can't remember. That was the other mage. Oh yeah,
Magical stuff, you
okay,
said.
no. Okay, now I remember. So he's just been asking about like basic stuff as we glean inventory and stuff like what they sell, so the usual. So we can suspect that he's probably trying to set up a heist, or if he's just trying to figure out if they have anything on sale.
Yeah.
Fender asked, about how he looks, and she said that the person said that he looks like to be wearing a cloak that tends to cover even his face, most of his face. So she can really even get a good tell about what he's like wearing underneath his cloak.
Interesting. Anyone have any leads based on the information we found?
Well, my assumption would be that he skipped town if he didn't. Seems like he visited each of these stalls and made accounts pretty regularly. If he didn't show up today, that can only mean bad news.
It's weird that he would come at the same. It's weird that he would come when they're closing. Preferably he'd want to come around opening time, since that's when the stores would be at their most stocked of whatever items he's trying to get.
Roll me investigation, Atlas.
Damn. Everything I say is just gonna go down the gutter.
An 11. As you're mentioning the time by which he frequently visited these places, you realize it's similar to the time that you had just approached the stalls, and you realize there's usually not a lot of people around at that time. Usually not a lot of business. As you obviously just
Not many people to
saw.
see them.
See.
Interesting. Any other leads
So-
and motives?
I believe we don't have any other leads.
If anyone else would like to roll investigation for me, go ahead.
Alright, I'll roll an investigation for you.
See what you can piece together. So Gideon, you're thinking to yourself, you're saying, okay, there's a man, he's looking around for, stock of inventory. You're like, okay, that makes sense. He's trying to figure out maybe weapons, armor, and all of a sudden you start to remember a tale you heard growing up, and you're thinking maybe it's about this guy. He's figuring out what people like, what they maybe don't have. He's making a list. He's checking it twice.
Let's go!
This man could be the Samba Claus, the famous dancer who gives out gifts to mercenaries.
Terrible story.
It could be. It very well could be.
Well, I ask. Okay, you
Now,
know what?
now, Rook has not said
I
any of
ask-
this. Rook has not, or Gideon has not mentioned any of this out loud. This is what he
I
thinks.
asked Gideon. So, what are your thoughts, Gideon, about this?
Now, hear me out. This is gonna be a long shot, but it all adds up. Alright?
Go on.
It's Somber Claws.
Somber who?
Somber claws?
Now, okay, so maybe this myth wasn't the same around you guys, but where I'm from, there was this legend, if you will.
Of Zelda?
Oh my god.
I don't know who that was, but there was of this dancer who would go around and see what you needed most and would get it for you on one specific day of the year. Alright? What if this person is Somber Claws and they're just here to help?
Yeah. That
You
makes
know
sense.
what? I personally think that Gideon has had way too much cactus piss. Does anybody else have any leads? Any ideas?
Any other investigation checks? All right, Miko.
You know, I don't see
I
anyone else
am-
throwing out any ideas, alright?
It seems a little. Why would a dancer, of all things, give people gifts? Like,
I'll make a history check to
Because
see if I
you're
can
your
remember.
ideas.
To see if I can remember what I heard.
Miko. Okay, so Miko is thinking of the history of Somber Claws, and it's like that doesn't necessarily line up with. I think you don't think it lines up with the intentions of what this individual is doing, because Somber Claws in your studies was never this suspicious looking and didn't exactly wear a giant cloaking.
Well, not
over the
every
face.
dancer has to go around
However,
flashing their
you
tits.
do you know you remember Somber Claws being more of like a long beard, kind of more of like a mage, more than like a straight dancer, and they do have like the cloak over their head though. So it wouldn't be uncommon necessarily for Somber Claws to visit, one of these stalls at any chance, but that's not here nor there. You're looking at your investigation, right? So the clues are here in front of you. Replaying what you have in your head, and you're like, we really don't know a lot about the intentions or motives. There's a man checking supposedly inventory on particularly weapons and armor. That from what Atlas has told you, he's checking up on supplies and asking a lot about the inventory and the supply routes and stuff like that. You have information that he's not stolen anything as of yet. So the real question that is rising in your head is, this individual is making notes on stuff, and yet he is leaving with nothing. And that is suspicious to you. Aubrey, if you'd like to, you can make your own investigation check. Or you can choose to just watch.
I'll make my own investigation check.
yes, Mr. Brioche, join us.
16. You have very similar thoughts to Miko. You're trying to piece together some of the information, and Fender jumps in and mentions something while you guys are thinking. He says, Atlas and I did talk a lot about some of the supplies. Apparently, this man was asking a lot about things that were out of stock, almost, maybe one could assume intentionally, trying to figure out about some of the trade routes and when supplies would be coming in and out. And I can't help, Fender's speaking this, and he says, I can't help but think maybe he's trying to figure out opportune times to, when Mordona will be stocked and when it won't be. Maybe that's where he's keeping these notes, is to try and keep a tally on that. And Aubrey, you kind of hearing that and thinking very similar thoughts. And in your own, personal investigation, you realize this individual has got to be reporting to somebody. If this is truly a spy, in your history of stealth and of secrecy and all that, and you never just go into a job taking whatever you can and walking away. As you've seen in your own experience, that doesn't necessarily work. There's a whole job in scouting a place and figuring out, what could be involved in it. However, one thing does ring true to you: the armor and the weapons that are here. If he was taking stock on inventory, personally in your own experience, that he's not looking at the most expensive items. If he was looking to rob the place, surely he could have stolen things from the relic items, from some of the books that are potentially, master copies of something. That's where the real money is. So you're more curious to say, why is he looking at more of supplies and weapons than on more of casing a joint for, more of a stealth job? So as you guys are talking, or rather thinking to yourselves, Fender does mention one more piece of information. He says, I've seen this man leaving from the eastern gate. There's a chance that he has a campment outside, I mentioned before, and he's been coming in and out regularly. There's a small chance that if we have enough to go on, we might be able to track him down, or maybe ask the guards about this individual.
I used my history check to see if I remember seeing any tents on our way to rescue the girl from the ogres.
On your way over, you don't recall any tents.
Oh, okay.
And I probably previously stated, hold on, I'm trying to think geographically here. I don't remember if it was east or west. I think you guys went out the eastern gates last time.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'll retract that then. So Fender is saying that he says actually it was the western gates that this man was coming out of. I think I had the map confused in my head, so we'll just make that canon now. So
Alright.
western, I think the western side is where he's been coming in and out of recently. So it's territory that you guys have not been across. It leads into the marshlands, the swamp area. So, if we want to learn any more, we might have to move fast. I'm afraid that by the time morning picks up, we might have missed our opportunity.
Well, then let's head over.
And we move immediately.
So as you guys are talking, it has become very dark outside. We're passing the 9 into 10 o'clock hours. You guys have been kind of mulling over some ideas here. The town is pretty silent, as everyone's packed up shops and most of the individuals have left the streets of Mordona. However, it is still light up enough with the street lamps that you're able to navigate when you're inside the city walls here. And
Pick up a few rocks.
pick up a few rocks, pocket them.
Yep.
Smart. And you guys are able, if you'd like to go over to the west gate.
Just as also a side note, I see her pick up some rocks, and because I don't understand the magic that she's using, but I know that she has like a magic rock spell, I'm also going to pick up some rocks while kind of like side-eyeing her.
Gideon also picks up some rocks. Go ahead and add rocks to your inventory, I guess. However
Alright.
many you want to carry. Cool. So with that, the party is Fender motions that maybe you guys go check out the west gate.
I'm moving.
Cool.
Once I get my rocks, of course.
I'm gonna move everyone
Are
over.
those rocks in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?
God knows I'm not happy to see you.
So, you guys are now, headed down away from the market. The people that you see here are an illusion. They're not actually there. It's just because of the magic of screenshots. But you have, Mordona, obviously, the pit, directly in front of you by the Aether Shard, which is here. You have the East Gate that you guys all went to over here before. And you have the West Gate over here. And we've previously established this when we remember that Gideon is an expert with directions. And we can all recall that funny moment when we didn't know which way was which.
Oh yeah.
West, I believe it was.
Fender decides to move the party this way. So if you'd like to join him. As you guys are headed over there, I don't have a picture of our gate, but you can imagine the gate is essentially right over here on the. Let's see if I can do this by hitting this. No, that close enough. But yeah, the side over there is where the gate would be, and there is a town guard who doesn't have a picture, but he is standing attention at the gate. Fender comes up to him and starts talking to him.
Ill and well met.
And only Miko is able to hear this because Miko is the only one that followed Fender over.
I said I followed, didn't I?
I put your
What
character.
are you talking about? I'm right here.
I'll move you, Gideon.
Wow. Why is he on top? No, you know what? Piggyback me. I'm on piggyback ride. I am currently on Gideon's shoulders.
Yeah, fine, I don't mind.
Are you actually trying? I'm sorry.
You know what? Let me do an acrobatics roll just to see if I can maintain my balance on his shoulders.
All right. So, after being very cold, very very cold earlier, Atlas jumps on Gideon's back. Gideon catches him, and that's it.
We share a moment.
You're full piggyback now for an unknown reason. Fender is oblivious to this conversation event behind him as he starts to approach the guard and says, "Hey, Fairy, we're just on our way in for the night, but we're curious about an individual. We've kind of wanted to quickly report some information that we've seen. There's been a certain individual that potentially has been scoping out some of the market board or the market area, and some of our friends have been concerned that there may be in ill company. Is there by any chance have you maybe seen an individual that has been running around hooded? Maybe someone that looks a bit suspicious, more than normal?" And as Fender tries to persuade our guard, it's gonna roll 15. The guard kind of looks at Fender and he says, "Well, yeah, we've seen an individual who's been coming in and out of the gate pretty regularly, late at night, and seems to be leaving roughly 20 minutes after being in Mordona. He usually heads back into the marsh, just over there to the west." Fender kind of nods, looks at the rest of the party. Says, "Do we want to head in?"
We act immediately.
You want to go?
No, let's follow him.
Let's go.
Onward, my party.
Your party.
Yes.
The guard kind of holds out his hand and says, "You guys realize that it's very late and there's virtually no light outside."
I I pull out.
No time like the present.
I pull out 5 pebbles, and Eos uses light on them.
It's a cantrip. You touch an object. The object then sheds a bright light in a 20-foot radius and a dim light in an additional 20-foot radius.
I offer my pebbles up to Eos like a goddess.
She touches them as well.
So,
Lights them up.
Everyone gains a bright pebble, and you now have 20 feet of bright light and 20 feet of dim light. So you're able to carry them around. The guard
You
looks.
turn off just by covering it.
The guard looks at you guys, and this guard, by the way, is like a here that's Midlander and just carrying the basics, carrying a sword, like a long sword, and he's like, why did I expect anything other than heroes in Mordona? And he steps aside.
I'd like to smile and offer him one of my pebbles.
I will put a light on that too.
You give him a rock of light, and he nods and he sniffs up a little bit, and a tear drops from his eye as he lets you pass.
Why is he tearing? This is the best gift that I've ever received.
As you guys pass through the gate, you can hear him just immediately burst out crying. It's just like tears of joy. And you guys
Santa Claus really decided to bless me today.
Maybe the Sama Claus is the friends we made along.
The Somber Claus is the friends we made along the way, of course. After the Makote that you guys saw, and then of this guy here. You guys are heading out into the blackest of nights, but you have your pebbles to lead the way. And as you guys are going out there, I'm gonna need a couple of checks. I will let you guys choose kind of what you're looking for as you're leaving here. You can roll for perception. You can roll for survival. And you can roll for investigation. Any one of those you can choose to do based on.
Can you say the options one more time?
So based on what you're rolling for, I'll give you, and based on what you roll, I'll give you various information. But you can roll perception. You can roll survival. You can roll investigation. So
wait. Mine rolled twice.
I'll take your first number. So a 22 survival from Miko. So Miko, as you're walking out here, you see you're in the marshlands, or like the swamp area of the marsh. And you, growing up in Gridania, or Grandia, as some call it, you know of kind of the type of terrain. You're familiar, at least, with some of the swamps area. And you can quickly, as you're looking around, notice that there's a track, a set of tracks, in fact, that lead kind of deeper into the swamp area where the water starts to rise up above where your feet would be. So you know that there's potentially been a track of somebody that's moving somewhat frequently through that area. We have Gideon with investigation of 15. As you're looking around, Gideon, the rest of the team kind of walks through the gate, and you look over to the side, and you see in the bushes just right outside of the gate there, you see tucked away, just behind it is like a cloak, and picking it up, you realize that this is something that would normally sit over top of your armor to conceal your identity, as well as your the armor that you're carrying.
I hold it very closely, knowing in my heart I have found Samba Claus's cloak.
Oh gosh.
Blessed be thy by Samba Claus's name. Wait, hold up. Yeah, blessed be my Samba Claus's name. There we go.
The Somber clause. Atlas, Aubrey, do you guys want to do anything? You have survival, investigation, and perception.
I will. Oh, no.
You will intimidate the marshlands into revealing where the location of our would-be thief is.
Yeah, alright, let me just intimidate the marshlands. Be like, alright, marshlands, tell me.
I mean, I swear. Alright, so Aubrey runs a 9 on survival. Taking a look at the area, you similar to Miko, you grew up in the Gridania type, the woodsland area, and you know that in this direction of the marsh, as you see Miko starting to kind of look at these tracks, you can kind of pick up on them, and you know that the water that the tracks kind of lead into is something that you could definitely traverse, although it might hinder like your movement speed as you go through it, because it's gonna be messy. Atlas, you want to run anything?
I actually do want to intimidate and see what I can get out of it, but it's like the marshland, so what am I going to get out of it?
You can roll intimidation. Just letting you know, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah,
if you nat 20 it, I will find something to make fun out of it. But you're probably better off running something else. Survival, investigation, or perception.
Do survival.
$19.
Ooh.
So you are also grew up in the woods area, and you see the tracks that are made. You see the waters that they go into. One thing that you pick up on, bouncing off of what Miko is kind of looking at, is that the tracks that you see indicate more of like a rut more than a pair, like a track. Where you can tell that there's been somebody that is coming to and from Mordona, taking the same path multiple times.
Alright, so I tell the party that we should probably follow these tracks and see where they can take us, since this is the best clue that we have.
Okay.
Any objections?
Yeah, if you guys
I'm with you.
If you guys want to trek into it. Alright.
Alright. Cue in the unskippable cutscene that leads us into an encounter.
Here is the unskippable cutscene. You guys enter the swamp.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And we are now
Oh, there we go.
pitch black at night.
Well, you're gonna have to adjust the lights for us, but
Now,
Well, actually, I have
now
security.
some of you see a lot farther than others. Some of you have very near sight. Some of you have superior night vision and can see a whole lot right now. This is perception based on each of your individual characters. And I'm also throwing in Fender because Fender is here. He decided to join you. You are not explicitly in combat yet. But from what you can see, there are lights out in the distance, little lanterns that are lit. There's a shining red blinking light way out there. You can hear some rumblings and some people kind of treading through the swamp. And it may just so be that you've stumbled across what you are looking for. And that's all we have for
next time on
Next
Dragon
time
Ball
on
Z.
A Realm Awoken.
Ball Z.
That's
If you
it, baby.
think I'm not gonna go super hard into this Somber Claws angle, you're very wrong.
Turns out, I feel like alone we should just make a Somber Claws like encounter. Probably closer to Christmas.
You can encounter me. I'm gonna embrace it. Somber Claws gave me their cloak so that I could take over.
Plot twist. Gideon
Now-
gets possessed by Somber Claws.